Hi, everyone. Thank you for being part of this new webinar. I am Sylvie Gompe, the owner of Impact. At Impact, we help to develop more resilient, responsible, and respectful kids for a new generation because we don't want them to lose values. We also help women to find a vision for their own life, to set their goals and crush them. We also help corporates to build cohesive teams through communication and leadership. In alignment of our vision for a more respectful, more resilient, and more responsible kid, we have launched this webinar to give tools to parents who will need them to safeguard the online activities of their kids during this period. During this period of COVID, where they are more online than ever, we know that they are going through some usage that are inappropriate of social media and online occupation, and we want to help parents to help us to build them. In this case, we have got a good speaker who will help us go through this jungle. His name is Alege Gilbert. He's a friend of mine. He has a master's degree from the University of Manchester in England. He's an audit and cybersecurity expert with 20 years of experience helping companies to manage their cyber risk and reduce the impact of cyber attack on commercial activities. He's a senior manager of KPMG in UK. He's a non-executive director and administrator of Yorkshire Bank in UK. Today, he will give us parents the tools to help our kids to be safeguarded online. Gilbert Alege, I give you the floor.
Thank you, Sylvie. Welcome to all parents. It's a pleasure to be with you today, and it's a pleasure to spend the next few minutes to talk to you about children's safety online. As Sylvie said, my name is Gilbert. I work and live in the UK. I've been here for about 6 years. I've got 20 years plus experience in the areas of audit, cybersecurity, cybercrime. And I do work sometimes with law enforcement to support them in tracking down cyber criminals and looking at what's happening in the cyber world. So we'll get on with our presentation, and the agenda for today rapidly. I've already made my presentation. I don't think there's any more to say added to what Sylvie did. And we'll look at a few introduction points about cybercrime, cybersecurity. We'll then understand how children use the internet, and we'll look at some statistics. Then we'll talk about the risks that they may face, potential tips that would help to minimize those risks, and then we'll conclude on what all of this means and what the key takeaways would be for you and for myself as a parent. So essentially, in trying to understand the cyber world, the one thing to point out is that our kids were born in a world where everything is connected, while a lot of us parents were born in that world where things were not connected. So we could be considered as digital immigrants. We are immigrating into a world where we know very little about, while our kids were born into this world where everything is connected, and they can be called digital natives. So as digital immigrants, there is a lot for us to learn. While the kids are digital natives, it comes to them natively, they understand things and they can pick things and get it done easily. So in this world where you've got digital natives, children can scroll before they can crawl. You know, you've got companies that produce equipment that they can sell to children when they are still 3 years old. My 4-year-old son is able to use my phone in ways that I myself am not able to use it. So that means that as parents, we've got to make sure that cyber skills become the routine for our children. Just like we teach them how to look left and right before they cross the street, we need to teach them how to access some of these digital devices. A key thing to note also is that we need to let our children know that anything that is shared online will stay online forever. Even if you delete it, it never really gets deleted. Anything you delete on your computer, anything you delete on your phone, especially online, stays online forever. It can be found by anybody who knows what they are looking for. And we just need to tell our kids that that is a danger, and they need to understand that. Why is this proliferation an issue? Why are we even talking about kids' safety online today? I think it comes from a variety of issues, but the key statistic I want us to understand is that today, 90% of our children have a mobile device or a computer. 70% have a cell phone, 64% have a tablet, 48% have a computer in their bedroom. And with all this connectivity, what do they do with it? They access places and do things that we would scarcely imagine or even think about. Let's understand some of what our children do online. You would see that based on a survey carried out by the Center for Cybersecurity, Safety and Education for Children here in the UK, it was a global study that included a lot of countries in Africa. And that study was conducted in December 2019 and January 2020. They realized that 87% of children were not even taught how to use the internet safely. 29% use the internet in ways that their parents will not approve. So they know they are doing something wrong, but they still do it. 21% visited gambling websites. 8% posted selfies online. 31% lied about their age to access adult websites. 62% watch adult programs online. So if our children are accessing the internet and doing these things, we should not be surprised of some of the deviant behaviors that they do have these days when they then get access to social media. And that then explains a lot, because that study also showed that our children spend a lot. I think their primary mode of accessing the internet is social media. It starts with social media and then they progress onto something else. And why do they use social media? It's a self-esteem thing. It's a confidence builder for them. It makes them belong to a community of their friends. It provides entertainment. It's popular. If you don't have a WhatsApp account or you don't have a Facebook account, then you are not cool. And these things, we parents need to know and understand them, because they would help us to understand how our kids function, how we can then help and support them and teach them how to use their online connectivity safely. Social media is a serious issue. And in the United States of America, for example, you've got the police who are warning people. It's the US, it's the UK. You've got the police warning people about social media apps. And on the screen, I've listed 15 social media apps that you parents should know about. And it's not only knowing about the social media apps, but it's also making sure that your children can use it safely. Essentially, I would say that if your child is not at least 15 years old, I would really worry giving them access to some of these social media platforms or social media sites. As we say, it's social media, it's not social mayhem, because you've got a lot of predators on there who then use it in the very wrong way and get kids to do things that they should not be doing at all. So what could go wrong online? Why are we so afraid? What are we fretting about when it comes to the kids' online access? The first thing to note is that they could see or share violent or sexual or pornographic content. We don't want our children, especially the really young ones, messing around with pornographic stuff. We don't want our adolescents, at that early age of 12, 13 years, messing around with porn, let alone those who are younger. They could get inaccurate or false information. People could use that to teach them things that we would otherwise teach them differently. They could overshare personal information. They could get involved in bullying and other hurtful behavior. They could actually get involved in criminal and online activity. Who can they meet online? They can meet people who bully, intimidate, or frighten them. They can get involved in people who use or who hide behind fake profiles to do mischief, sexual grooming and stalking, blackmail, extortion, identity theft, hacking. They could get involved in criminal or online gang activity. For example, I've got a little cousin now in Cameroon that I'm trying to help win out of Facebook. But what they do is that they've downloaded an app, installed it on their phone, that then masquerades their phone number. And so they use WhatsApp and Facebook to contact people as if they were adults, trying to sell sexual material to them and trying to pose as luxury prostitutes. And when these guys transfer money to them, they then get off and go away. That's very criminal. But I know that my cousin didn't learn that at home. Somebody taught him how to do that online. And these are the things that our children could be exposed to, and we need to be very careful and very, very conscious of it, what they do online. And it's really important then that as parents, we are conscious of how this could affect them. They could get into criminal initiatives. They could get upset by the things that they see. They could get even worried that they will be missing out of those cool stuff on the internet. So it's not a good thing to ban them from social media. It's not a good thing to prevent them from getting online. We need to manage that access. We need to manage how they get online and what they do online. And it's really, really important to get that done and do it properly. So we need to develop a way of doing it. We need to find the right way of doing it. Another key thing I want to mention is that children could get mental health issues. They could become depressive. They could develop anxiety. They could develop fear. They could be cyberbullied. They could actually be exploited sexually, and that would tarnish them, or that would hurt them for the rest of their lives. It would impact on their relationships. So we really, really need to be careful and understand how some of these things work and what we need to do. So I'll try to give you some general advice based on what professionals have put forward, but also on my experience trying to deal with some of these things. As parents, we are cyber heroes, and it's up to us to act and to start acting now. It's not tomorrow. It's immediately. We need to start doing things now. We need to start by putting in place a child-parent contract. And that contract needs to clearly state what children should or should not do online. We need to engage and discuss with our children what they do. Engage with the school. How do you use social media? When you use WhatsApp, or if you get children to go onto the internet, what training have you given to the children? How do you ensure the children are protected? We need to start having those discussions now. Social media should not become a popularity contest. And we need to teach our children that they need to treat others the way they want to be treated. It's just that good etiquette that would help them to become responsible people as they continue using social media. It's just like when your kid starts going out, you want to teach them good manners, how to deal with people. We need to teach our kids how to deal with people when they start going online and doing things. As I said earlier, don't forbid or don't ban them from going online, because if we do that, they will eventually get online if they go to school. Somebody else will teach them to get online, and they will do it in the very wrong way. Let's help them to get online. Let's teach them the tools. Let's teach them how to use the internet in a safe and effective and protected way. We need to understand how our child interacts with technology. Are they agitated? Are they grumpy? Are they secretive? And if that's the case, then there is a problem. And if there is a problem, then don't blame. We need to intervene with support. We need to give them the support that they need. We need to provide them the help that they require to be able to get on and deal with this issue, which in reality could be a challenging and serious issue. We also need to discuss with the child what they do online. What websites do they visit? Who they speak with when they go online. They should show us the social media apps that they use. How do you use WhatsApp? How do you use Facebook? How do you use Twitter? What do you do online? Why is it so interesting? We need to teach our kids to set their profile to private. It means going into settings and adjusting those default controls so that their profile is private and can only be seen by authorized friends. And so predators online will not be able to see them and misuse their accounts. And as I said earlier, we need to make sure that social media is a key part of the child-parent internet contract. That internet contract is essential. Even if your child has been getting onto the internet for a long time now, it's time to sit down, have that conversation, and put that contract in place. It's a mutual agreement between both of you to agree on a way and an etiquette of behaving correctly and safely online. Don't be shy to spy on your child online. It's just like if your child had a friend and you were suspicious of that friend, you want to know what's happening. You want to ask questions. You want to spy in quotes on what they are doing with that friend. Don't be ashamed or afraid to do the same. Check on your child, friend them or follow them on social media so that they know that you are there and they know that somebody is watching and they know that you can do. Learn how to use that tool so that the same tricks that they use, you could also use against them. Of course, they'll always be smarter, but the fact that you've already conquered some territory could be very helpful in getting them out of there. Teach them to stop, think before they post. anything that they post will never get deleted. It's there forever. They should never share their age, their school, their address, their phone number. Any of that private information should never be shared online. They should never agree to meet somebody that they've met online. No matter how honest and trustworthy that person sounds online, don't accept to meet somebody you've met online, except you are meeting them with a lot of friends in a public area under the right security arrangements. We need to be careful about pictures that are posted. We are all, and I see this quite a lot, where people post, their latest pictures online. You post good things, but beware, a picture can be worth more than you know. Today, a lot of our phones have geolocation, which means that all pictures are geotagged. Geotagging basically means that the picture takes the coordinates of the place that picture was taken from, or from where that picture was posted, which means that if I post a picture now from this from where I'm speaking now, somebody who knows what they are doing could look at that picture and could get the geotagging of that picture and locate where I posted that picture from and know that I am there at that point in time. And so if you were traveling and then that happened, then somebody would know that Gilbert is not at home, and then they could go to my house and attack. They could go to my house and steal. So be careful. They could go to the school or to where the child is and kidnap the child. There are a lot of things that criminals could do with what we post online, and so we need to be careful. I'm not saying don't post anything online, but what I'm saying is that you could, for example, deactivate geolocation from pictures so that the pictures you post online don't carry that geotagging, and so people cannot locate you. You can deactivate geolocation information from certain apps like WhatsApp and so on, so that that information cannot be traced back. But please don't deactivate geolocation entirely, because geolocation could also help track your child or help you know where they are at a particular point in time and be able to get to them if they are in distress or they need your help. Those features are on the phone for a certain reason. Unfortunately, they are just being misused, and we need to be able to reset those controls to make sure that they are used properly. Set access controls on your device. Use access control applications on your mobile phone, on the computer, on your tablets. And there are some free solutions like Microsoft Family on Windows 10. It's free. You've got open source solutions. You've got pet solutions like Net Nanny and Norton Family. Basically, these applications would enable you, for example, to restrict usage times. So children can use internet only for 2 hours a day, or they can get online only for 2 hours a day. It will limit the type of sites that they can go to. It will restrict what they can see, what they can download. You can configure devices to prevent application download or installation without parental permission. And by so doing, it basically means that your child could be restricted from getting onto Facebook within certain times. They cannot, for example, get onto Facebook in the night. They may not be able to install WhatsApp on their phones, for example. They may not be able to install or access or get online access to some of these applications if these tools have been configured and used properly. Sometimes insist on knowing their online passwords or create it for them. Or on the devices, for example, you could create a backdoor admin password that will enable you to be able to get access to those devices and just see what is the content, what's happening in there. It's just like if you can get into your child's room and look around the room, look around his box, look around his bags, and make sure that the things that he's carrying or keeping in that room is good. You should be able to get into the phone and make sure that the content of that phone is acceptable to you. What are the key risks? What are those things that should worry us when our children get online? You've got horrible things that, in my mind, they are quite horrible, which I've put on this slide. You've got things like sextortion, you've got sexting, you've got sex chatting. Sextortion essentially is blackmail. So somebody fools the children to send their sexually explicit pictures to them, and these children innocently send these pictures, and then they are then used as blackmail. If that happens to your child, stop sharing, don't pay anything, seek help, take screenshots, preserve evidence, and speak to law enforcement. Block the person, get your children to change a number of their parameters, and support them, give them the support that they need. It's really important. Sexting, on the other hand, is children sharing sexually explicit content between themselves. So, for example, a 14-year-old will be sharing their naked pictures with another 14-year-old, usually done on WhatsApp, on TikTok, and things like that. Again, this is a serious issue because it could actually create a porn, and a lot of the predators could actually get access to some of these WhatsApp accounts, fake their addresses, and start copying these pictures, and then we could be in murky territory. We need to be careful and train our children how to use this. Again, it all comes down to setting clear rules and expectations on what they should be doing online. You should listen and support to them, especially do not blame. If your child is involved in sexting, then use it as an opportunity to start talking about sex and sex education and discuss proper, effective sex. Share your values. Why is it not good? And get some good arguments on there to challenge what they've been taught, why they are even getting onto that thing. Don't blame, because blaming is the wrong thing, but find the right arguments, find the right solutions, find the right options to have those discussions. Another worrying thing is sex chatting, which essentially is similar to sexting, but in this case is between a child and an adult. You've got people who are hiding behind the wrong profiles, or people who present themselves as adult, but then they are getting children to share sexually explicit materials with them, which could lead to a lot of different things. As I say here, it's the first stage to grooming, and we'll talk about grooming shortly. But we again need to be mindful of these risks, be alert, be open, and to check on our children regularly. And if we see these things happening, we should take appropriate steps to make sure these things do not happen. Our children should not accept strangers as friends. If you see your child change their behavior when you enter the room, for example, they sort of jumpstart, or they try to hide something from you, or they try to cover their phone, or they try to change the way they are using their phone, then you know that they are doing something that's not right on that phone. And don't sort of say, give it to me now, there and there, but find a way of engaging with them and trying to find out what is it that they are doing and how you can fix the problem. Blaming them or being aggressive or taking a hard line may just make the problem get even worse. Cyberbullying is really an extreme bullying among youth via technology. So if you think about schoolyard bullying, now it all happens online. Children are insulted, the wrong pictures are posted about them, the wrong information is circulated about them, and that affects children very seriously. Don't teach your child not to respond to bullies. They should ignore and block them. They should report the perpetrator. Change, for example, their email address or username, or get them to stop using social media for a short period of time. Get their friends around them. And it's really important to be aware of the changes that cyberbullying could cause to your child. It could be anger, it could be depression, it could be frustration, it could be isolation, anxiety. All these things. If suddenly your child stops using the internet, you need to be worried that there is a problem and find out what that problem is and try to help them, get them the support that they need. You've got grooming, which is really a form of child sexual abuse. Essentially, people solicit children via technology by establishing an emotional connection or a financial connection and get them into sexual activities with them. That is a crime. And I'm sure it's a crime all across the world. But again, we just need to teach our children not to share personal information. Don't meet online-only friends in the real world. Make sure that they don't receive emails or instant messages from people that they don't know, etc. We just need to teach them some of these good manners and make sure that they don't get carried away. Then you've got something that is really gaining ground in Africa, especially in Cameroon. That's revenge porn, which essentially is the non-consensual disclosure of pictures, sexually explicit pictures that were taken and shared during a relationship after that relationship is ended. So I'm dating you, and we decide to share our naked pictures. And then at the end of that relationship, I am not happy, and then I go online and start sharing those pictures. We need to teach our children to be mindful of that, never to take sexually explicit pictures or videos and send them to a boyfriend or a lover. Don't do that. Not to take pictures of other people also. And if those pictures are there, get the person who has them to delete it while there's still time. If those pictures appear online, take the aggressive steps to get Facebook or the social media operator to delete them. The law forces them to be able to do that. Other risks that we need to be aware of as parents is gaming. Your PS4, your Wii U, and all the other online games that children get involved in can be a huge harbor for risks. Beware of these risks. Game can include violence, murder, nudity, prostitution. Make sure that the rating on some of these games, you've taken them into account. Encourage kids to set up private chats with trusted friends or disable the social media options on some of these games. Make sure that you know which games your kids are playing, why they are playing those games, and if it's appropriate for their age group. Other risks also include chat rooms. Chat rooms essentially are places where people can connect anonymously and have a chat. And a lot of children love chat rooms because there they can connect anonymously and talk about anything that they wish, or share anything that they wish to share with anybody without being judged or without any fear that somebody would hear them. The risk is that they could meet strangers, adult predators, who could then use the information they share against them, especially if they've shared any personal details, if they've shared any confidential information or address information, and that could lead to blackmail or extortion or other forms of criminal activity that could negatively impact our children. So beware, if your children are using chat rooms, then you need to make sure that the right approach and security and privacy controls are in place to make sure that they use it correctly and properly. Make sure that you use good passwords on your system, on the mobile phone, on the computer, because today passwords could be hacked. If I know your mobile phone number, I could send you a text, and that text could contain a malicious code that would then enable me to hack into your phone and crack your password if the password is weak. So make sure you use a good password to protect your devices. Even if somebody is trying to hack, they may not be able to get through because you've got good passwords. Make sure passwords are used on all devices and computers. Beware of scams or phishing emails. Don't click on emails from somebody pretending to be from somebody you don't know. Even if you receive an attachment from somebody you know, confirm with them. Pick up the phone and say, Sylvie, hey, did you send this email to me? Did you send this attachment to me? Confirm with them before you open it. Those are just good manners that will help us avoid challenges and problems. A few basic precautions before we end the presentation for today. Always start with antivirus software. Keep antivirus software updated and make sure you've got antivirus software on all devices, on mobile phones, on tablets, on computers. Make sure that when those antivirus software is installed, if your child is trying to get onto a website and they say no visitors allowed, it means the antivirus has detected that that is a malicious website. Don't go there. It's just if you're trying to get onto a website and a warning message or an error message is generated, don't go further. It's just another way of saying don't come in. Because if you go in, the consequences could really be bad or could be there for you. Beware of some of these things and just keep those healthy security controls in place for you and for your children, and teach children also about some of these things. Back up your data, because you could lose that data and you could lose a lot of information on your phone, on your computer, on your tablets. Use external portable devices. Back up to the cloud if you want to. Make sure you back up daily or weekly, but just back up that data and make sure that you don't lose that data, because you could lose a lot of important critical family souvenirs on your phone, on your mobile equipment and stuff. It's just, I would say, good cyber sense, good cyber manners, but make sure that data is backed up. So to recap what we've said in the last 20-25 minutes, start early. Keep talking to your children. Warn them about the risks of getting online. What are the good manners that they need to respect online? What is the good etiquette? What are the good things that they need to demonstrate or show as they go online? Teach them about passwords and privacy. Use access controls. You could use things like Net Nanny. You could use things like Windows Family. You could use things like Norton Family. Use them and make sure that access is restricted and controlled. Secure devices. Use good passwords. Prevent or restrict downloads, and make sure that anything that's downloaded is downloaded with parental approval. Activate privacy controls. explain some of those key risks like sexting, sextortion, grooming, revenge porn, cyberbullying, and explain their consequences and what those things may mean. Know and understand the science of cyberbullying. Protect, update, and back up. Monitor and communicate. Monitor and communicate. Monitor and communicate. And most importantly, don't blame, don't blame, don't blame. Be open. Build a culture of confidence. Make sure your children have got confidence in you. Make sure they are able to come to you to talk. Make sure they can find that time to come to you and speak to you in a private, confidential way, knowing that they will not be blamed. Somebody will listen to them. Somebody will try to find a solution to them. Because sometimes a lot of these things happen because our children don't feel confident to come and talk to us. They don't feel confident that we have the time to listen to them. And the last thing I would say is that as parents, we need to be aware of our own use of the phone and social media. Let it not be do what I say, but not what I do. We should tell them, we should preach by example. We should be role models for them. That's all. Thank you very much. And I'll probably take some questions now.
Thank you very much, Gilbert, for that alluring presentation. Thank you for your insightful tips, and I hope that parents have enjoyed about this presentation. What I have learned is that kids are digital native and that we are digital migrants. Being digital migrants, we need to adapt to their society. And how can we do that? Because we don't have classrooms for parents where we learn about digital usage. Because we are migrants, they will always be having walk around to go through the parental control and all what you have tell us to use. How can we do to be updated in these online things?
I think it starts by getting to the right fora. For example, attending talks like this, making sure things like this are organized. And I think there are a lot of us out there who are willing to come and share our expertise, share our knowledge. And so having frequent talks like this would be very helpful. Getting involved in a seminar, because all these things, you need to learn it. It's not something that would come naturally. It's not automatic. It's just like, even when a child is growing up, they still need to learn how to speak. It doesn't come naturally. Even though they have that ability to speak, they still need to learn how to speak. And they still need to learn how to speak either French or English and speak it properly and use the right grammatical terms. It's the same for online access and online security. We need to learn some of these things. It doesn't come naturally. It's not going to be magical. There's no silver bullet to it. We just need to learn and make sure that we can create or we can use opportunities like this to learn and to enhance our skills in this domain.
Thank you very much. I had a question from Emmanuel Mbeb, and he was asking, what will be the best age to buy a smartphone for a kid? The best age?
That's a tricky one. So I think it all depends on the context and the environment, because smartphones in themselves are not dangerous. Smartphones could help you maintain contact and communication with your children. So you want to be in contact, especially if you travel or your kid is going somewhere and you want to keep contact. That's why these things were invented in the first place. However, just make sure that the kid understands how to use a smartphone. You teach them the rules and make sure that when you buy them that smartphone, some minimal controls are there. In my case, I have decided that my kids will not get a smartphone until they are at least 12 years old.
Okay.
It's a personal decision. And I would think that all parents should do that. We can find different ways of keeping control of them. But I just think before 12 years old, they are still at home and we can still keep track of them. And they don't really need a mobile phone. And if they really, really need one, we can find one of those old Nokias of 20 years ago and give it to them if we need to.
Thank you very much. So it depends on the kid's maturity, if I've heard what you've said.
Yes, it depends on the maturity and less on age. If they seem mature and they can learn fast and understand some of these dangers and demonstrate and give you the confidence that they know what they are doing and they are not going to get into that trap, then by all means, why not let them have it?
Thank you very much. I have another question. This question is from Patience Makpoko, and she was asking, you talked about the parents' contract, the children-parent contract, how it should look like. Can you give us some tips on how to write this contract?
There are a few models that you can find on online. If you Google something like a children-parents contract,
Yeah.
then there are a few examples. Actually, Sylvie, I could share one with you, and then maybe you could share it with anybody who's interested. But
okay.
you Google it, you could see those children-parent contract, and then you could then take it and modify it to your circumstances and to it. But essentially, a children-parents contract is basically saying these are the things that are acceptable, these are the things that are not acceptable, and these are the consequences if you violate any of the unacceptable things. These are the acceptable use rules of the house. These are the things that are not acceptable, and these are the consequences. And when you do that, don't just do it as a piece of paper to make them afraid. If they violate it, take the adequate sanctions. Make sure that that punishment comes, because then children always like to test and to try, and they will eventually try to test and try. Make sure that that punishment is there so that they know that it's not a joke and it's serious business.
Thank you very much. I would like to have a sample of it and then share with parents who are interested. I will send it to them through email. I have another question coming from NNG, and she's asking, because you say that all what is put online, even if deleted, are there forever. The question is, what about these companies which offers a service deleting our footprint on the internet, especially bad comments?
Well, they offer the service to delete it.
Yes.
Essentially, it's putting that in another server that's not online. But so I'll give you an example, right?
Yes.
If you delete something on your mobile phone, it stays there. The only way that that information on that mobile phone gets deleted if you burn that mobile phone or you break it. And I think for those who are a bit into politics and watch what was happening in the US elections in 2016, Hillary Clinton was accused that because she wanted to delete hard disks that had confidential information, she basically took a hammer and broke them. That's the only way you break it. Because these things are magnetic, they are electronic. You cannot really reverse it. If anybody tells you that's true, then maybe we are not looking at the same research, we're not looking at the same science. What I've learned is that it's not possible to do that. So technically, you go to Facebook and Facebook will say, okay, we'll pull down this information. It will no longer be publicly available, but it's still there and can still be accessed by anybody who's at Facebook.
Yeah, you took once an example of a mail that you will send to someone who will forward it to someone else. If I erase it on my own email account, on someone else's account, it wouldn't be erased. So they have many backups in all their system, and you are never sure that every single piece in each backup is deleted. So you will always have it somewhere online. And if someone is really looking for trouble, he will search and bring it back, although you pay for someone to delete that.
A good example is if you look at the presentation today, there were some images on the presentation, right?
Yes.
I downloaded that from the internet. So you can go and download it wherever, you can go and delete it wherever you want. I've got it. And if this presentation is put online in 10 days' time, you've deleted everything, but that image is still there. Essentially, it's just there. And with cloud technology today, nothing gets lost. That's why you scarcely see me posting anything about me or my family or my children on social media.
So no image of your kids on social media?
You will not find it.
Wow. Nice.
You will not.
Someone asked, this is a question from Annie Engene, and she said, when you search in your child phone and discover inappropriate things, how do you behave? Because it's very difficult to keep quiet and just discuss. I understand where she's coming from.
Absolutely get that. Absolutely get that. And I think no matter how challenging it is, the last thing you want to do is to flare up. The last thing you want to do is to get into that blame game. The last thing you want to, because the child needs to trust you. The child needs to be able to know that mom or dad, or both mom and dad, are people I can come and have a conversation with. So one thing my father taught me is that when you are annoyed, don't speak. sleep over it. Sleep over it for a couple of days if necessary before you start talking about it. And so when you discover it, if you are really boiling over, take a break, go for a walk, and then talk about it maybe in 2 or 3 days' time, something like that. But don't talk when you are annoyed. Don't have a discussion when you are annoyed, because it could just lead to unforeseen consequences.
Wow. It's hard to work on our self-control from time to time.
But in this case,
Yes.
I think it's not about you. It's about the child. And it's about that
Okay.
material. It's about that content. Where did they get it from? They can always go get more. Children use something that they call stealth mode today. They can get into stealth mode and you will not even know if you don't learn how to do it. So we need to understand that they can fool us if they want to.
Yes.
And so if we get that, we need to be able to build that confidence and say, Mom understands. I also was a young guy and I also did some of those things. I understand, but let's have a conversation, because I don't want you to make the same mistakes I made.
Yeah.
And they would probably, that empathy, that understanding would ring a chord with them. Try to use that. That is the best way, because if you try to get them to feel afraid, you would lose them most likely.
Wow. Thanks a lot, Gilbert. I have another question coming from Patience Makpopo, where she would like to learn more about these applications that can help limit children access to internet sites. She would like to have more information about these applications.
So more information, what can I say? Again, it's just the names. And as I said, if you've got Windows 10 on your computer, then you can create a Microsoft account free online, set up Windows Family, and configure restrictions. And Windows Family is quite good because I use it. And it can basically limit, if you say your child can use the internet only for 2 hours, after 2 hours, it shuts down the computer. It shuts down the phone. It shuts down the tablet. They cannot access it. If you say they cannot access Facebook or TikTok, when they try to access it, the system blocks them. It's quite effective. Okay. It's free. You just need to get online and try. Now, if you don't have Windows 10 or you've got another operating system, then maybe some of the paid tools like Net Nanny. If you Google Net Nanny, you'll come across it and you can buy it online. If you Google Norton Family comes as a package with Norton Security, which is a good antivirus. I use Norton Family and I use Norton Security as my antivirus. So you could buy your antivirus and Norton Security for your family, and then you can install it on your mobile devices and the computers, and that will still protect you. But those things, they are all online, and you can get more information about them. I'm not sure what else I can tell you now within the time that we've got, because it could be a very long conversation.
Thank you very much. And what do you think? This question from Olivier. What do you think about using spyware to monitor children?
Yes, maybe, but the risk is that if they find out, then you are in trouble.
Yeah.
The even bigger risk is that beware of spyware, because you did not create that spyware. Somebody created it.
Yes.
So if you are using it, the person who created it, because it's a spyware, you don't know if it's got a backdoor, you don't know if that person who created it is putting it out there for you to use.
Yeah.
And so you are using it to monitor your child, but then somebody is also monitoring you and your child, and that could lead to really even serious consequences. So we need to be careful with some of these things that we get from the dark web. People will come and tell you, oh, you've got this tool, you can monitor your phone. Yes, you monitor your phone, but who else is monitoring you and your child with that software that you don't know? And that's the it's also just downloading some of these great, restrict downloads, because if you are not downloading bona fide software, you could be downloading stuff that has got a backdoor, and people could then use that to do terrible things. We've had stories where you download something on your computer, and the next day you've got your friends calling you and say, did you send this mail to me? Did you send this horrible picture to me? How did people get access to your email? How did they get access to your computer? It's all shut down. So we need to be careful, because the internet has got a lot of enticing things. It's just like, when we were young and we wanted to catch mice, we put sort of a bit of mice cheese on the trap, and then when the mice came in, they were caught. That's how spyware would work. You get a software and you think this is great, it's brilliant, but then it's got a payload behind, and that payload could be devastating in a lot of ways for you and your family. Hello, are we still there? I think Sylvia's gone online.
Hello?
Hello? Oh, there you go. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you now. Can you hear me?
Yeah, excuse me. As you were saying, at the end, you were talking about giving support, don't blame, listen, discuss with your kid, have a mutual
I think we're having network problems here. So, yeah, she's got network problems. There she comes back.
Hello?
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 Yep. We are still here. At least I'm still here.
Yes. You've listened to what I was start talking, discuss with you, share your own values, and have mutual agreement.
I'm sorry, the network is really bad. There she goes again. It's a shame. Okay, I'll just try to, yeah, I can see the chat, the questions in the chat room now. Just trying to figure out where she stopped. And then I think I've got a question here. How can I get rid of emails sent to me by unknown persons? And how possibly could they have gotten my email? Well, there are a lot of ways that people can get your email. It comes if you filled any form online, if you've shared your email, even for legitimate business purposes, like you go online and you fill a form online, you respond to a query online, even by creating an email address. One thing that we need to know is that for marketing purposes, companies do sell email addresses. It's now true that the law in the US and in the UK and in most of Europe prevent companies from doing that, but they still manage to do that. If you've shared your email to fill an online form, to share it on social media, one way or the other, people will get access to your email. If you've downloaded a spyware or you've clicked on a phishing email, people will get access to your email. So there are lots of ways that people can get access. How do you get rid of those emails sent by unknown persons? It's simple, delete them. But don't only delete them. If you're using something like Hotmail or Outlook or Yahoo, you could mark some of these emails as spam. You could report some of these emails as unworthy emails, and the system will automatically block those people from sending you emails. So you can delete, but not only delete, before you delete, mark it as spam or report that email, and the system will block those emails and you will never ever receive emails from those people again. Or at the minimum, it will go into your spam box and it will not disturb you again. But the key is, have you got the right antivirus? Or the machine you access your email on, has it got the right antivirus? Make sure you've got antivirus. Make sure the antivirus is updated regularly, and make sure that you've got the right security controls. Your operating system is updated. All those security things are really important and critical. That is what would help you prevent people from getting access to your personal data and misusing it. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you, Gilbert. Can I continue? I had a glitch with electricity failure.
Yes, you can continue.
Yes, because I had a question. Someone was asking how you build confidence with your child. Because all along you have been talking about giving support. You have been talking about listening. Don't blame. Start talking. Discuss with the kid. Share your values and mutual agreement. Be open. Does it mean that at the end of the day, when the line of communication is cut, we don't have access to our kid no more? Does it mean that at the end of the day, after all the technology, we need to build real relationship with our kids to avoid all the mayhem? Because social media, as you said, was not a mayhem.
I'll use a different approach and maybe a different analogy to answer that question.
Yeah.
And I would say, I have seen people who live in the same house with their children, and the only way they can effectively communicate with their children is by the phone. If you need something, you can call until tomorrow comes, nobody will answer you. But if you send a WhatsApp message, people come running. That is really bad. Basically, we are letting ourselves become prisoners of technology. Families no longer have, family conversation. And I'll challenge all of us here, and me included. When was the last time we sat down and had a proper conversation with our children, just as our parents used to have with us? People would argue that we live in a modern world, we live in a different world, but we still need to have, because though that is how you build a relationship. Today, people go on dating websites to find a girlfriend or a boyfriend. In my day, I had to work hard to convince a young girl to even look at me. But those were the good old days. And I think building confidence or building that rapport starts by understanding the kid, knowing what they want, how they want it, who are their class teachers, who are their friends, welcome them, create a space where they can have a conversation and talk. It's really, really important that it has confidence in you. Take it in a slightly different way, maybe the wrong way, but a slightly different way is that, how do you build confidence with your partner or with your husband or with your wife? It is not very different, but the level of the kid would not be different. It's having those conversations. It's building that rapport. It's making them feel that they can come to you and talk. Today, a lot of us parents don't have time for our children because we are working. And when we come back, it's watching the news, it's responding to our WhatsApp messages, it's going out with friends. How much time do we have for our children? And that is the problem. We need to get some discipline back into our lives in a lot of ways. And I know it's not easy, but I, for one, I have what we call technology-free days in my house. On that day, Nobody uses, the only thing we can use is the television. We go on Netflix and we watch some movies as a family. But nobody uses the phone. No computer is turned on that day. At least once a month, we have a technology-free day where we can bond as a family, do things as a family, and ensure that we live as a family. And that is really, really important. That's the first step of building that rapport. Making sure your children have confidence to come and talk to you. Making sure they feel that they can come and talk to you. Making sure that they know that you are there for them. And they don't go to somebody else to talk.
Thank you very much. You will have the last question. The last question is coming from Obengeya, and he's asking how to manage phone addiction from children.
Well, I'm quite cautious using the word addiction, but if it's an addiction, then it's a problem.
Yeah.
And if it's a problem, you manage it like you manage any addiction. You need to take them off that addiction. Taking them off that addiction is just like if you want to get somebody to stop smoking, you don't take away all their cigarettes immediately. It will be catastrophic. But you start, if they are used to having, 10 cigarettes a day, you could start giving them 8, and then 6, and then 5, and then 2, and then 1, and then nothing. And it's the same with children. Get some of those access control tools. And if they used to spend 24 hours a day on the internet, then get them to spend maybe 20, and then 10, and then 5, and then 4, and then 1. However, it's not just enough to take that phone off them or to block access to their phones. What do? You need to find something else that they will do. You need to find something else that they will occupy them, because kids are always busy and always occupied all the time. And nature does not like vacuum. So you need to find something that they will be doing when they are not on their phones. It could be reading an interesting novel. It could be watching television as a family. It could be doing something else, but don't just take away the phone and think it's going to work, because they will find something even much more vicious to do with that time that they don't spend on the phone. So yes, reduce the time they use it, use the access control software, but find something else that the children need to do during the time that they don't have their phones. And maybe, just maybe, and I've seen that happen, they could actually end up loving the activity that you've given to them and actually get addicted to that one, to that good activity rather than the phone. I've seen that happen before.
Wow. Thanks a lot, Gilbert. Thanks a lot for your insightful comments. Thanks a lot for sharing your knowledge with us parents. I have learned a lot, and I have kept that kids are digital native and we are digital migrants. I have kept that children can scroll before they call, and that social media is not social mayhem. What I have learned from you also is to give support to our kids, to build their confidence, and also to discuss with them, share our value a lot, so they will be responsible of what they are doing online. Also to put all the necessary tools to help them not to go on undesirable site, and to also teach them what are the risks that they can have when they are jeopardizing their own life online. Thank you very much for sharing that with parents. Thanks to parents who attended this workshop. And remember that next week, we will be talking to your children. We won't be talking to parents anymore. We will be talking to your children and teach them not to jeopardize their own life by their usage of social media. Thanks a lot, Gilbert. I will give you 1 minute just for a last one.
Well, the last one will be to say thank you very much for everybody who attended. And please, please, please find time to reconnect with your family. Reduce the connection on the phone and on technology and reconnect with those children, with the family. Get back to some of those good old things that we used to do. I am doing it. And I think if I can do it in the UK, you should be able to do it wherever you are. Just reconnect with those children. Find time to support them and help them. And we will be in a much better world than the one that is being designed for us today. Thank you very much for attending. It was a pleasure. Thanks very much.
Thanks a lot. We see all your kids next week for our next webinar.
Thank you.